know many of you watching my channel are new to homeschooling, maybe on the verge of considering homeschooling, or are already homeschooling but looking to me for advice or just seeing how I do things. So I thought it would be fun to share 10 things I don't do in my homeschool, not just for those who aren't homeschooling to kind of give you a glimpse into what you don't have to do if you're homeschooling, but also for those of you who are homeschooling, just to share a different perspective on how we do it. You may do it totally different, and that's okay. But just to share that you don't have to do it like everybody else is doing it, and that's okay. So I'm gonna jump into the 10 things we don't do in our homeschool. So the very first thing we don't do in our homeschool is meticulously plan lesson plans. Now, there are amazing moms and dads out there that plan amazing lessons, and I think that is amazing. But as somebody who's trying to work and run a business and homeschool on top of it, I just frankly don't have the time or the urge to do that. And so I use strictly open and go curriculum. We use Heart of Dakota, which is for history. There's Bible in there. There's science, art, geography, music, and then you can even do their math and their reading program, but they also have a great literature program in there as well. So I literally just open it up and do what it says, and it's wonderful. And then for math and language arts, we use The Good and the Beautiful right now, which is totally open and go. I don't have to prep anything, and it's been wonderful to save time and just to take that stress off of having to plan everything myself. They have done it for me. I also don't follow any kind of fancy year-long schedule. I know some people do like 4 weeks on, 1 week off, 6 weeks on, 1 week off. Some take the summers off, some take certain months off. I just have learned with my husband's crazy schedule and not really being able to plan a lot in advance that we just go till we are kind of sick of it, and then we take a break, and then we keep going. So we usually take breaks around holidays. We still homeschool during the summer doing math and language arts, and then of course just like exploring nature and doing fun art projects and stuff like that. So really I don't have any set schedule when it comes to the big long year-long outlook for homeschooling, and you really don't have to. In Minnesota, I think there are a certain amount of days you're supposed to homeschool. I'm sure we surpass that because we're homeschooling all the time. And it's just nice to not have this pressure of like, oh shoot, I was gonna take that week off, but now my kid's sick, so I have to power through. We just take breaks as we need them. And I am a very type A person in a lot of ways, but I like that with my type A-ness, I can be type A in some areas, and then with things like this, where it's stressful to be type A, I can be very relaxed and just go with the flow. And then as far as our weeks go, we also do that kind of different than a lot of people. We do a 4-day week over 5 days. So with the way our schedule works, Monday through Wednesday are full normal homeschooling days. Thursday, my kids usually go to my mom so I can get a lot of work done, like filming these videos and different things that are hard to do with my kids around. And so we only homeschool half a day that day, so we'll just do our reading stuff that day, like our history books, our read aloud, our scripture verses, stuff like that. That's just like me reading to them and us practicing things. And then on Friday, we usually have a nature hike, and every other week we have a co-op with friends. And so we do the other half on that day. So we do our reading and our math that day. So we do 4 full days of homeschooling, but stretched out over 5 days. And so you can really mix it up. You don't have to do what everybody else is doing. Something else we don't do right now that I hope to do one day, but just is not in the cards for us right now, is to have a beautiful morning basket time where we're at the table. The kids have like these beautiful menus with dry erase markers, and we're talking about the composer, and we're checking the weather and doing the calendar and all that beautiful stuff. And my one child's knitting, and one is, you know, doing perler beads, and one is doing macrame or whatever it may be. That is not what my homeschool looks like right now. I have a 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So only the 7-year-old's really ready to sit for long periods of time at the table. My 5-year-old is an extremely active little girl, and so she's always up and down and all over the place. And my 2-year-old is as 2 as she could be, and so she's constantly dumping things out, climbing on counters, finding whatever stool she can find, and getting into everything. At the start of homeschool today, I said, Celia, can you go Gwenny-proof the upstairs for me, where she goes and like locks all the bathroom doors and stuff so Gwen can still walk around but isn't getting into toilets and stuff like that. So we do our morning basket on the couch. We do half of our homeschool day on the couch, and then the other half is at the dining table where we do our math and language art. And as for what I mean by morning basket items, so we do our prayer there. We learn our Bible verses, which we're using our Awana verses as our weekly Bible verse to learn. We read a couple picture books as a family. If we're learning a song, we will sing it then, like a folk song for our co-op or just any other song we might be learning. We read a poem. We read our history reading for the day. We do our read aloud, which currently we're reading Little House in the Big Woods by Laura Ingalls Wilder. And we just cuddle on the couch and read. That's just been the easiest thing for us. We've tried a lot of different ways, and that's just what works for us right now. The fourth thing we do not do this year is use this beautiful homeschooling room for homeschooling. So this is our playroom. I've used it in a lot of different ways over the years. I used to have a daycare. Now it's our playroom slash homeschool room that we don't homeschool in. We did all last year when my 2-year-old was 1 and she was napping in the mornings. We would do all our homeschooling during that time, but now with her up, we've tried homeschooling in this room and there's just too much to distract us. First of all, there's a gate and my 5-year-old's constantly opening the gate to go to the bathroom, to go grab something, what have you. And so I have to get up and shut the gate because she can't shut it on her own. So it's just constant, like, that is very frustrating. And then my 2-year-old's just like dumping out the toys. She wants to climb on us, and it's just something about this room was just too stressful at the start of the year. So we moved it up to the couch. She can go upstairs to her room. She can go in the dining room. There's just more for her to explore and not just want to like distract us all the time. So it was either stay in the homeschool room and be distracted and have my 5-year-old either stay upstairs or force her to stay in here and not go to the bathroom, or just go with the flow. And so we decided to just go with the flow. Another thing that we don't do is cut out all screen time. Now, I do really wish we could and will limit it one day, but just right now I have found the only thing I have found that actually works for the one-on-one time when I am helping my 2 older daughters with math and language arts is to put some kind of educational show on. It will engross my 2-year-old for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then she usually will just kind of play nicely, whereas if I try to do it without the show, she's already been playing nicely leading up to that while we are doing all of our reading, and she just wants attention, attention, attention. And I've tried giving her attention before, I've tried putting her in her room, I've tried lots of different things, and it's just TV show is like the only thing that's been saving our sanity, so we do that. And I know it would be great if we did the one-on-one time during her nap in the afternoon. However, that is my work time, which is how I'm able to stay home with my girls and homeschool them. Plus, my oldest daughter is very introverted and she really needs that time to just unwind and do her own thing. And so I think even if you don't have to work during nap, if you can have quiet time for your whole family, it's just a really wonderful thing. If you want to use it for homeschooling, that's great, but it's also nice to just kind of have a breather in the day. I wanted to let you guys know that I also have an Etsy shop I just opened. I have a lot of homeschool related shirts and tote bags and things, and I'm adding new designs every day. So if you are a homeschooling mom or just a mom, I have some other just random mom related items and different occupations and just funny different things that are great for gifts. I would love to have you follow and favorite my shop and follow along, because I guarantee I will have a shirt or an item that you will love eventually. And if you have any ideas of different designs you want to see, make sure you DM me on Instagram at WorkLifeGlue. I'd love to have you as a follower of my Etsy shop. Another thing I don't do, which may surprise you, is I don't use a homeschool planner. I have found I have my own planner. I'm sure you can find a bazillion videos I have on this channel of different planners I've used over the years, and that's what I use for just planning mother tasks and appointments and work tasks and things like that. But I found that I don't need to write out all of our homeschool tasks because I use Open and Go curriculum. So I just open it up and do what it says. I don't need to plan anything, and then I just keep a really simple printed out sheet that goes along with our curriculum of what we did that day, and I just check it off every day. So I'm not really planning. That's just more for record keeping for the state if I ever need it. Hopefully I won't, but if they ever check on me, I'll have a record of what we did. But the extent I go to plan homeschooling is literally just writing on my planner, homeschool. and I don't write anything else. I just write it so I can check it off every day. Another thing we don't do is have long homeschool days. So yes, I'm with my kids all the time, but our actual dedicated learning time is very short. It really never goes over 2 hours, and that's with a second grader, almost semi-kindergartner. She's just turned 5, and she's doing some kindergarten stuff and some preschool stuff, and then a 2-year-old. So obviously that will probably get longer as they get older, but they'll also have a lot more independence as they get older and can read independently. So who knows what it will be when they get older. But this is just our dedicated school time, so our sitting on the couch and doing all of our reading, and then our math and our language arts. Occasionally we'll do an art project, occasionally we'll do a science experiment. We also have our co-op on Fridays. I'm not really counting that, and that's not counting lunch, snack, playing outside for hours, play dates with friends. Really, homeschool is just a lifestyle, but when you're talking dedicated, like curriculum-based learning, is no more than 2 hours. We start at about 7:45 in the morning, and we never really have ever gone past 9:30. So it's usually 9:30 at the latest. Another thing I don't do, which has become really trendy to do this on Instagram, which I'm not gonna lie, makes me feel inferior as a mom, and maybe you watching this, it either empowers you if you do this or it disempowers you if you don't, and that's that I don't involve my kids in every mothering task. Do I think there's a good reason and good lifelong skills in having our kids help with every meal that we make, help with all the cleaning, help with the laundry, help with all of the things? Of course, I think it's so valuable. However, I feel if it really stresses you out as a mom to have your kids involved in all that when they're really little, it's okay to not do it. And so I, especially at the end of the day when I'm cooking and I'm stressed and my husband's been working since 4:30 in the morning and we haven't seen him and he's working late or whatever, when my kids ask to help with supper, I usually say no. Because if I let one help, then they all want to help. Pretty soon there's flour all over the kitchen, I'm crying and they're crying, and it's just stressful. And I know, you know, when all my girls are at the age or older than my 7-year-old, who's a great age for this, they'll be helping a lot more, and there's plenty of time to learn these skills. However, with a 2-year-old and a very impulsive 5-year-old, it just gets very stressful. And so they do help put away laundry, they do help fold laundry occasionally, but my 2-year-old's version of helping is undoing everything I do. They do help with cleaning after meals and things like that and loading the dishwasher, but beyond really that, I do most of it because it's less stressful to me right now, and I know in time we will build up to that when they are more capable and it's less stressful for me. So I'm just sharing this because there's so many TikTok videos and Instagram accounts of 1-year-olds like cooking every meal with their parents, and I think that's beautiful, but I also think for a lot of us it's just unrealistic, and it's okay if you don't do that. They have plenty of time to learn how to do those skills if it's too stressful for you when they're young, and you can work up to that, especially if you have multiple kids. For me, just the way my kids are, if one's doing it, they all want to be doing it, and it's just, even if I give them each a task, it ends up being very stressful. Another thing I don't do in our homeschool is stress about the, what I will call higher level subjects like art, music, geography, science, etc. I think those are all beautiful, wonderful subjects, and we do sprinkle in a lot of that into our day. But if we skip over the science or skip over the geography or skip an art project in our Heart of Dakota curriculum, I'm not too worried about it because it's all very gentle at the 2nd grade level, and we do so many other things that I know they're still getting a very enriched education, and we'll fill in the gaps that I don't think they'll even have gaps, but we'll fill all that in as they get older. And what I really love is that the curriculum we use incorporates a lot of those things in with all the other subjects. So for example, we're learning early American history right now, so we're reading tons about the Pilgrims, and we have been doing a lot of deep dive rabbit hole learning where we hear something and we want to learn more. And so we aren't doing dedicated geography studies right now, but we have learned a ton about Amsterdam, about when the Pilgrims went to Amsterdam and the canals. And so we learned about the geography of Amsterdam. We've done a lot of learning about the Atlantic Ocean and the different routes they took. We've learned a lot about Plymouth Bay and Massachusetts and the different areas there. We've watched a lot of videos and done some more research on that. We've talked about what different geographical terms are without like having a workbook or something like that. So our learning is happening in a inclusive environment, not just like we're picking apart geography now. No, we're learning it among a lot of other things. As far as like picture study or art study, we're learning that a lot with our The Good and the Beautiful Language Arts curriculum. And then our co-op as well, we're doing handicrafts there, we're doing composer study, extra narration and things like that. So they're getting a lot of those other things, and we're doing a folk song and a hymn. So we're getting all of those things, but it's not like I'm setting aside specific time to do science or do geography or do art. It's included among the other things where as they get older, I may pull them out more, especially science, to learn specifically like we're going to do science now. But for these younger ages, it's so fun to just incorporate all that together and not stress about it so much. And then lastly, we don't do many extracurriculars. I know, especially if you're not a homeschooling family, it can seem like you have all this time if you're home with your kids all day to do tons of different activities. I know for myself, having, a business on top of that, I have to be really strict about our schedule. And so we really don't have a lot of time for extracurriculars. And then whenever my husband is home, which is not very often during the week, we really want to focus on family time. And so my kids have 2 extracurriculars right now that they do the same times, same day. So we're not like one kid's doing something one day, another kid's doing it a different day. So it's just 2 nights a week. They're doing dance once a week and then Awana once a week. Beyond that, we go to church and Sunday school, but that's all together as a family. And then we have our co-op, which to me is more part of our homeschool and not really an extracurricular, but that is a wonderful way to make friends and just build upon what we're learning at home, get out in nature, and just do life with some other homeschooling families. But beyond that, obviously I would love to do piano lessons, violin lessons, choir, art classes, like you name it, I would love to be part of that. But it would stress me out because it's just stretching us too thin. And the point of extracurriculars are to build upon what you have already been doing and to add more nourishment to your homeschool day. And if it's stressing you out, it's not really a good fit for your family. It's just pulling you away and taking away your energy for the main point of your homeschool, which is your learning and your family time. So those are 10 things we don't do in our homeschool. I'm sure these will change over the years. I would love to know a few that you don't do of your own, or maybe you relate or don't relate to mine. You can also share that in the comments. And if you like this kind of video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of our Glue Stick family. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.